So, welcome everyone, whether you're here in person or practicing online. Just to briefly mention, I told you all we're going to be possibly using our chair today just for legs up the chair pose at the end of the class. And that's because that is such a nice one for the back. So, we're going to focus a little bit more on our back and our spine today. And other than that, we're using the regular stuff. So, blocks, strap, you've got blankets, they're always nice to have. We probably won't use the resistance band today, but we'll see. You never know. I change it up often. Okay, so I thought we'd start on our backs. And today we'll start in constructive rest pose, which is just where we lay on our back with our knees bent. So you can just do that as you are, or you can add a few extra props. I'm going to suggest ways that you can use the block and the strap, or just the strap. So if you have those, you can bring them close to you and get everything else out of the way. And if you're practicing at home and you don't have a block, you can always take a blanket for this one and roll it up. Or a beach towel works really nicely too because it's a little bit more dense. And just roll it so it's kind of the same size as a block. So, option one for constructive rest is to have the block between your legs. And ideally, the block or the rolled blanket will keep your legs in kind of a hip width distance position. And then what we can do with the strap is take that strap around your legs and the block and tighten it. And the purpose is to hold the block in place. So we're just maintaining this nice position of legs being about hip width distance apart. And if you don't have a yoga strap at home, you can always use a belt or a scarf, as long as they're long enough to wrap around your legs. So if you've got that and it's working for you, then you can just come to laying on your back and leave your legs in this position. An alternative as well, if you have only a strap, is to make your loop a little bit bigger and wrap it around your legs like this. So it's going around your shins and your thighs. And it's another way to hold your legs in this hip width distance apart if you can kind of get the size right. So it's totally up to you. And again, you don't need any props at all. If you don't have any or don't want to use them, that's fine. But take a moment, get yourself set up here. And once you've found your way into constructive rest position, then just settle in here. Begin by arriving here on your mat, just feeling yourself on the ground. And take a few moments to really tune into the areas of contact between your body and the ground. So, noticing the back of your head. Maybe notice the position of your head as well. See if your chin is reaching up or if it's tucked under a bit, or if you feel as if your gaze is kind of straight up towards the ceiling when you lay on your back. There's no right answer, just observing for now. And then bring your attention down to the back of your rib cage, your shoulder blades, your arms. Just notice which parts of your upper back are touching the ground. Does it feel like you're evenly resting your upper back on the ground, or do you feel like you're leaning to one side or the other? And again, just observing, just kind of finding your baseline here before we get started. And now bring your attention down to your pelvis. And again, notice what parts of your pelvis are touching the ground. And does it feel like one part of your pelvis is heavier than the other? You might feel like there's a little bit more of a lean to the right or the left, or a little bit of an arch or a little bit of a tuck to your pelvis. And it doesn't matter what the position is. We're just checking in to notice what it is right now. And now notice the space between your rib cage and your pelvis. So see if your low back feels like it's a little bit lifted away from the ground or if it's flat on the ground. Just tune in there, notice what you notice. And finally, notice your feet. Just feel the bottoms of your feet touching the ground. You might get curious, is your weight evenly distributed on both feet, or do you feel like you're leaning to one side or the other a little bit more? And now feel that all at once, just making a mental map of the back of your body on the ground. And now let that go and just invite your attention inwards. Take a few moments, get familiar with how you're feeling today, just noticing from the inside out. And now invite your attention to your breath and just get familiar with your breath as it is right now. Get curious about the quality of your breath, checking in. Does it feel like your breath is smooth? Does it feel like it's a little jagged? Does it feel fast to you or does it feel slow? And where can you sense the movement of breath? And then let that attention just blur. And let's start to move a little bit here. So if your legs are comfortable as they are, you can leave them with the props there if you'd like for a few minutes. We'll start with our arms. So just bring your arms up towards the ceiling. Let your shoulder blades settle down towards the ground. And then just give your arms a little bit of a shake out and bring them back to stillness, but still reaching up towards the ceiling. And tune into the back of your rib cage again. Just notice where it is right now. And then slowly reach your arms up overhead. Paying attention a bit to your rib cage as well. Only lift them as high as you can without needing to shift the position of your ribs at all. And then bring your arms back up. And let's explore that range of motion a few more times. As you lift and lower your arms, can you stay in a range where your rib cage can stay nice and quiet? And then let this go. Bring your arms out by your sides in a T position. Turn your palms to face up towards the ceiling. And let's do some snow angel arms here, sliding your fingers along the ground as you bring your arms up overhead. As always, let your hands float up away from the ground whenever that feels like it would be best for your shoulders. And then come on right back down, bringing your hands down by your sides and keep going a few times. And again, the point isn't to make the biggest snow angel arms you can. It's just to explore what range can you move in so that you're arms and your shoulders feel comfortable so that you're not adding tension anywhere. If you feel your jaw tensing up or your belly or anything else, then can you change the movement so that the rest of your body can be more easeful? And the next time you bring your arms back down to the starting place, we'll stay there. Okay, and let's free our legs now. If you've got any props like your block or your strap there, you can set them off to the side. And when you've got them moved off to the side, then just bring your knees in towards your chest and give yourself a little hug, maybe a bit of a rock from side to side. And come on back to center. Let your legs come back down to the ground. Take a moment to just move or stretch any way you'd like. Nice. And now bring your legs up towards the ceiling and give them a shake out. Okay. And then bring them back to stillness, but keep them up. And try to soften the back of your knees and the soles of your feet a little bit. And from here, we're just going to lower our legs down a little bit, kind of like we did with our arms. And then bring them back up. And we'll try that a couple of times. And again, it does not need to be the biggest movement you can find. Just see where you can move, maintaining that sense of ease in your body. So you will feel your core start to wake up a bit here, but you don't need to make this a big core exercise. Just a movement exploration to start off with. And can you keep the bottoms of your feet soft? Are they tensing up at all? Can you move without that tension? And let's let this one go. Bring your feet back down to the ground. Nice. Bend your knees, plant your feet on the ground again, but walk your feet a little bit farther away from you, a little bit wider apart, and just let your knees windshield wiper from side to side. Nice, easy movement. And come on back to the center. Nice. Okay, so we started off by just paying attention to where our body is touching the ground at the beginning of the class. And now that's your neutral. It doesn't matter if it's the perfect neutral, that's your neutral for this morning. So let's take our spine out of neutral by doing a little bit of cat and cow. So we do cat and cow so often from a tabletop. Now we're just going to do it kind of upside down. So when you inhale next, arch your back as if you're trying to press your tailbone down into the ground and the top of your shoulders a little bit as well. And then with your next exhale, let's reverse that and round down towards the ground, trying to tuck your tailbone under as if you're pointing it up towards your knees a bit. And then go back and forth a few times. You can go with your breath if you like, or you can go a bit slower. Does not matter. Just think about this as a spinal movement. Maybe you like to think about your belly button here, lifting up towards the ceiling as you arch, drawing down towards the ground as you round. And now find your neutral again. Just relax, take a breath. Okay, and we're going to do that cat and cow movement, but we're going to really, really slow it down. So we'll start with our cow movement, arching the back. So come on back to that arched position. So belly button is coming up towards the ceiling a little bit more. And then add a little bit of engagement through the back of your body as if you could just tense those muscles to lift your belly button up a little bit more. Feel that sense of squeezing those muscles. And now we're going to let go really, really slowly. So, over the course of one or two breaths, really slowly just release those muscles on the back of your body. Allow your spine to come back to neutral. And then take a breath here in neutral. Let's do that two more times. And as you go, feel that sense of tensing the muscles on the back of your body. And then feel the sense of letting go as you really, really slowly come back to neutral. And take a pause once you're in neutral. Just breathe. Feel what neutral is for you. Do that a couple more times. Just go at your own pace a few times. Really adding that sense of engagement on the back body as you arch and feeling the sensations of letting go as you slowly float back to neutral. And the next time you come back to neutral, let's stay here. And now we'll do that same thing with our cat movement, our rounding movement. So, rounding your spine down into the ground. As if you could press your belly button down a bit more, add a bit of tension on the front of your body. If you squeeze these muscles, can you round your back down into the ground a bit more? And same thing, slowly let go. Slowly, slowly feeling the sensations of letting go as you just relax and allow your spine to come back to neutral. And let's try that one a few times. Really adding that tension as you round, and then slowly, slowly let it go. And when you're ready, come back to neutral and stay there for a breath or two. And now let's move any way you'd like. Maybe you want to have a little hug again. Maybe you want to try some of those windshield wiper legs. Just see what your body would like. And make your way back to your neutral again. Nice. Okay, let's try a little bit more of a rocking movement. So if you've got a block or your rolled blanket, you can grab that again. And then pick your knees up and just bring the block or the rolled blanket between your knees. And if you've got a strap or a resistance band or belt or whatever might be handy, you can grab that and hold it between your hands. And I'm just holding it kind of like this with my hands a little bit closer than shoulder distance apart, but nothing really specific we need here. Nice. Once you've got that starting off in neutral here, I like to touch my toes together, but see what's comfortable for you. You're going to press your knees into the block just to hold it in place. And then let your knees rock over to the right and let your arms rock over to the left. And come back to center and go the other way. And as you go side to side a few times, just have a little bit of awareness in your pelvis and your rib cage and allow them to participate in this rocking movement as much as feels comfortable. So we're doing just a gentle little twist here. Same thing, it does not have to be the biggest twist you can possibly manage. Just stay in your easeful range of motion. And make your way back to center. Let's set these props off to the side. Have a bit of movement again. Just check out what your body might like. Listen and give your body what it wants. And back to neutral once again. Okay, and let's try a bigger twist now. So bring your right knee in towards your chest and hold on with your hands. And now check if your shoulders are lifting off the ground to hold onto your leg. Then grab that strap and wrap it around your knee so that you can hold onto your leg and allow your shoulder blades to stay on the ground. And we're just going to hold our leg or the strap with our left hand so the other hand can rest. And once you've got that in place, just straighten the other leg. And now we're going to move our lower body into the twist, but allow the rib cage to stay on the ground without pressing your rib cage down. Just let it stay nice and connected to the ground as you bring your right knee over to the left. So again, does not need to be the biggest twist you can possibly manage. Just see where your sweet spot is. Lower body twisting, upper body still connecting to the ground. Let's stay here for a couple of breaths. You might get a nice stretch through your right hip here. If you want, you can pull your knee a little bit closer to your chest. See if that changes the stretch for you. And then come on back to center. Release your leg. Have a little bit of a wiggly movement here. And let's do that on the other side. So, picking up your left knee, find a position again with or without the strap where you can hold your left knee with your right hand or hand and strap. Allow both shoulder blades to stay on the ground. The right leg is straight. The left arm can just rest on the ground. And let's go into our twist. Bringing left knee over to the right, but allowing your left shoulder blade to stay on the ground. And take a few breaths here. Again, you could pull that knee a little closer in towards your chest if you like. Just explore, see what kind of a stretch you'd like to find today. And let's let this one go. Come back to center. Release your leg. Have a little bit of movement again. Okay. And come on back to our constructive rest pose where we started the class with your knees bent and your feet on the ground. Arms resting wherever they're comfy. And just take a moment to check in again. Notice your back body. Notice how you feel with that connection to the ground. And get curious, has anything changed? Does it feel like your weight is distributed any differently on the back of your body? Does it feel like different parts are more or less connected to the ground? Okay, and now let's try out a bridge pose. So we're going to lift ourselves up away from the ground a bit. So start by arranging your legs. Make sure your feet are kind of hip width distance apart. So you can check out your knees, see if they look like they're hip width distance apart. And then walk your feet a little bit closer to your seat. And once you've got that nice setup, just bring your arms by your side, letting them rest on the ground. And now we're going to push our feet down into the ground and lift our hips up. So just pressing down a little bit, lifting your hips up. Use your glutes to lift a little bit here as well. And think about pointing your tailbone up towards your knees as if you had a nice long tail and you could just reach it up there. And take a breath here. You might imagine that you still have that block or rolled blanket between your knees and pull them together a little bit, even if they're not moving. And now slowly bring your hips back down, coming back to resting on the ground. And let's try that a few times. Going at your own pace, lifting up, adding a little bit of that engagement once you're here, squeezing your knees towards each other, reaching your tailbone up towards your knees. You just lift and lower a few times. Try it out. See how this movement feels. And the next time you come up to the top of your bridge pose, let's stay here. Awesome. And here, if you like, you can try reaching your hips up even a little bit more. Squeeze your glutes. See how high you can lift your hips. Doesn't need to be a big movement, but you can see what's there. And then slowly lower yourself all the way back down. Nice. Move a little bit here. Have a bit of a wiggle. Okay. And now, if you have a block, we're going to use that here and come into a supported bridge pose. If you don't have a block, then we'll do this without the hips lifting up at all. So if you do have your block, what we're going to do is come up into our bridge pose and slide the block underneath the back of your pelvis. And so you just want this to be in the position so that the bones of your pelvis are supported by the block. So you don't want it in your low back too much. You don't want it too far towards your tailbone. So a nice way to check that is to lift one or both feet off the ground and see if you feel comfortable and supported here. And then bring your feet back down to the ground. And we're just going to do a little bit of a stretch for our hip flexors now. So bring your left knee in towards your chest. And you can do this whether you have your hips or your pelvis on the block, or even if you're right down on the ground, that's fine too. So hold on to your leg with your hands or your hands and your strap. And then just straighten the other leg. Okay, so let your heel rest on the ground. And we're just going to stay here for a few breaths. And then slowly let this one go. Bring both feet back to the ground. Let's do that on the other side. Bringing your right leg in, straightening the left leg this time. Whether you're on the block or flat on the ground, doesn't matter. Let's take a few breaths. And when you're ready to let this one go, softly bring both feet back down to the ground. Walk your feet in so they're in a nice supportive bridge position so that you feel strong to lift your hips up and move the block out of the way. Come on all the way back down. Let's do some windshield wiper legs here again. Bring your feet a little wider, a little farther apart. Just let them rock from side to side. And then bring them back to center. Bring your knees in towards your chest. You can rock a little bit side to side if you like that movement. And then one more time, come back to your constructive rest position with your feet on the floor, knees bent, arms just resting. Take another little check in time for the back of your body. Just notice, how does everything feel now? Okay, and let's change positions now. So let's roll over to our side and then come all the way up to a seat. And take a moment here, just move your spine a little bit. Come back to stillness and just breathe. Just see how you feel once you're up into a seat. Okay. And if you're sitting on the ground, let's grab a prop so that we can sit on a little bit of elevation. You can sit on a rolled blanket or a pillow or your yoga blocks if you have them. If you're at home or even here, you're welcome to sit on the chair as well if that makes you feel a little bit more like your spine can be straight, be a little more neutral. Okay, check in with your spine. See if you feel like you're kind of rounded here. If you are, then maybe add a little bit more height. Okay, and once you're here, soften your shoulders. Let them keep that sense of softness and lengthen through your spine. So I always like to picture from my belly button lengthening down and up at the same time. Check that you're not lifting your shoulders when you do this. Can you think about those all the little muscles along your spine engaging to lift as if all your vertebrae can just separate from each other a little bit more? Nice. Soften that. We're going to try it again. When we do spinal movements, we can do our twists, we can do flexion and extension, but that sense of lengthening is another movement of the spine that we don't do a lot in daily life unless you have one of those inversion machines and you can kind of hang upside down. Most of us don't have that at home. Lengthening, softening. And the next time you lengthen, stay there, keeping that nice sense of alertness in your spine. And then float both arms up. And bring your right hand down to the ground. And if it doesn't touch the ground with whatever you're sitting on, then grab a prop that you can bring under your hands so that you have that connection to ground. And we're going to go into a side bend. So from this nice long spine, just go over to one side and take a breath here. Coming back to center. Let's switch our arms, right arm up, left down. Switching that prop to the other side if you're using it. From a long spine, go the other way. Take a breath here. And back up when you're ready. Relax your arms, shake them out. Nice. All right, let's do another twist here. So come to sitting with your legs straight out in front of you. You might need to rearrange your props. If you're sitting on something hard like a block, maybe a blanket would feel better here. Nice. Okay, and bend your right knee. Bring your foot to the floor. It can be on the inside or the outside of your other leg. Nice. Keep your left foot flexed so that left leg is active. Nice. Fingertips can come to the ground. Again, add that length to your spine, keeping your shoulders soft as best as you can. And then lift your left arm up. As you exhale, turn your ribs coming into the twist. So you're turning to face a little bit more towards this bent knee. And then bring your arm down. Let it rest just on top of your knee. Try not to hook it on and pull yourself into the twist. Try to just let that contact between arm and knee be really nice and light. And breathe here. And come on back to the center. Nice. Let's switch our legs. Give them a bit of a shake out between sides. All right. So bending the left knee when you're ready. Find a position inside or outside of the straight leg. Flex your right foot so that leg is active here. Lengthen through your spine. Float the right arm up. And let's find our twist on this side. Bring your arm down when you've found your twist. Let the arm just be kind of passive here. It's not yanking you into the twist. The muscles on the sides of your waist are helping to keep you there. And then come on back to center. Release your legs. Shake them out. Nice. Okay, and let's come to a tabletop position now. Onto hands and knees. And if you've got a set of yoga blocks or anything that is substituting for yoga blocks, you can have them up at the top of your mat. So just getting yourself into a comfortable position here. You're always welcome to change the position of your hands. You can rest your hands on blocks, or you can be on your forearms on the ground or on the blocks. Or you can even rest your hands in a different way on fists or on fingertips. So just see what works for you today. And now we're going to do some cat and cow movements, but we're going to really slow it down. So start by just doing a couple of our regular cat and cows. Inhaling to arch your spine, exhaling to round. Nice. Maybe feel a bit of that engagement on the front and back body as you go. And then find your neutral once again. And let's do our cat and cow movements really slowly, as if you could start at your tailbone and go one vertebrae at a time all the way up your spine. Let's start with arching into cow pose. And as you move, your head will be the last one to come into this movement. And then start at your tailbone again. Tuck your tailbone down, one vertebrae at a time, coming into your rounded cat position. And then just keep going. Picturing your spine moving like a slow wave. And then come back to your neutral when you're ready. Take a moment to just feel what neutral feels like for you. And from here, let's come into a low lunge. So let's start by bringing the right foot forward. You can use your blocks if you like to help with that transition. Lovely. Find a lunge where your front knee is stacked right over top of your ankle and your back knee is not right underneath your hips. You want to be a little bit forward of that back knee so that you're getting a little bit of stretch in the top of the back thigh. Nice. When you're ready with strong legs, lift up, rest your hands on your hips. Nice. Let's take a breath here. Hands can stay at your hips or you can choose a different arm position. Nice. Bring your hands back down to your hips when you're ready. All right, we're going to keep our right hand on right hip and lift the left arm up. Once you're here, add a bit of length to your spine. Can you do that without hiking your shoulders up? Just see how much space there is in your spine to lengthen. Now we're going to do a little side bend here. Might be a teeny tiny side bend. That's okay. A little bit of action on the right side of your waist. A little bit of that sense of squeezing those muscles. And then come on back to a more neutral spine. Bring this arm back down. Awesome. And now bring your hands back down to the ground or your blocks. Okay, and we're going to keep our left hand on the block or on the ground. If you're on the ground, have your fingertips to the ground so that you can be a little bit lifted up. Nice. And with our left hand on the block or the ground, bring your right hand onto your right hip. Nice. I'm going to kind of turn this way so you can see me a little bit here. All right, and now we're going to add a twist. So begin again by lengthening through your spine. And now we're going to move our rib cage to come into the twist. So just opening your chest up towards the right, towards this bent knee. And then if you like, you can bring this arm up towards the ceiling. Lovely. Take a couple of breaths right here. And then come on back down. All right, let's make our way back to our tabletop. And from here, if you like, you can come into a child's pose. But you can choose either a child's pose or just come into a seat, whichever one is more restful for you. And a couple of easy breaths here. If your head doesn't easily touch the ground in child's pose, then bring your hands under your forehead or a block or a blanket. And come on back up when you're ready. Let's do our lunge on the other side. The left foot is coming forward this time. Use those blocks if you'd like. When you're ready with strong legs, come on up. Bring your hands to your hips. Your hands can stay where they are, or you can choose a different position. And let's breathe here. And then bring just your left hand down to rest on your hip. Keep the right arm up. If it hasn't been lifted, you can bring it up now. Add some length to your spine. And let's side bend. A little bit of a squeeze in these muscles on the left side of your waist. See if that brings a little bit more stretch to the right side. And then back up to center. Nice. Bring your right hand down to rest on your block or the ground. Left hand can be on left hip. Nice. Start with your spine. Add a bit of length. Feel as if the top of your head can reach forward a bit and your tailbone reach back a bit. And then find your twist, opening your chest up to the left, maybe lifting the top arm up. And let's breathe. Okay, bring that arm back down. Come on back down to a more neutral shape with your chest facing down towards the ground. And then let's come back to our tabletop. Take a moment once you're in tabletop to just move your spine any way you'd like. And come on back to stillness when you're ready. Take a breath. Just notice how you feel now. Notice how your back feels. Okay. And we are ready to come into our final pose of the day, and that will be legs up the chair. So, if you want to do legs up the chair, that's where I'll cue you to go now. But you're also welcome to go into legs up the wall or just lay in Shavasana or sit down, whatever's most comfortable for you. So, Actually, I'll show you legs up the wall briefly before I get you into um, legs up the chair. So if you don't have a chair, if you don't have a suitable chair, you can come to the wall. I would rearrange the mat so you've got a little bit of padding, but I'm not going to do that just to show you right now. And then come to sitting on the side of your hip, as close up to the wall as you can comfortably go. So it doesn't need to be all the way touching the wall. And then you can lay down on your side. And as you roll onto your back, you can lift your legs up towards the ceiling. Let your heels rest on the wall. So that is an option. Legs up the chair, I find even a little bit nicer for the spine sometimes. So for this one, we're going to get the chair set up. If you've got a hard chair like this, then I would always suggest bringing a blanket onto the seat of the chair so this edge of the chair is padded, and make sure that your chair is actually on your mat so it's not going to slide around while you're getting into legs up the chair. And then our pathway into this pose is the same as legs up the wall, except for we are lining ourselves up with the edge of the chair or your couch or whatever you've got at home instead of the wall. So we'll come down to laying on or sitting on the side of our hip with knees pointing away from your mat and most of the mat behind you. And then we're going to come down to our side and roll onto our back so that your shins can rest on the chair. And again, if your chair is too high up, so your legs are kind of reaching up and they can't be kind of parallel to the ground, then put some blankets underneath your body so that you can lift your torso up. And if your chair is really low, so that your legs are kind of down a little bit lower, then place more blankets on the seat of your chair. We just want to be in a position where your back can feel not just neutral, but more supported so that your low back can kind of let go and relax a little bit more. And check that you're actually comfortable here if you're trying out legs up the chair. This is a restorative yoga pose. It's intended to be nice and restful. So if you feel uncomfortable right now, you're not going to want to stay here for a few more minutes. So really choose what's actually comfortable for you. So take a few minutes to get set up in whatever position you have chosen. And while you do that, I will turn the lights down here in the room. So take a few deeper breaths once you are set up comfortably. Send your body a message that it can let go, allow the ground, the chair, whatever you're resting on to support the weight of your body. Noticing the back of your body if you're laying on the ground. Notice which parts of you are touching the ground. And can you soften all of your body, including the parts of you that are touching the ground, a little bit more? See if that's possible. Maybe as you exhale, just imagining that you can allow a sense of melting a little bit more with each exhale. Just give yourself permission for the next few minutes to do absolutely nothing. Just resting here, allowing your body to be supported.